Hello everyone and welcome back to War Budgies. We have a treat for you today. We're doing another unnecessary unboxing. And I call this an unnecessary unboxing because normally an unboxing is there to show you some brand new product. These are some out of print things, but I love out of print things. These are our treat for you today. These are the Mk2 Warmachine and Hordes 2-player battle boxes, circa I believe 2012. The copyright in the box is 2012. I think that's about right. These were sent in by a friend of the channel, Bob Watts of Transatlantis Games. Bob, thank you so much for not only finding these in the first place, but sending them in. So you are a champion among Bobs everywhere. I will put a link to Transatlantis Games down in the description. Go check them out. Thank you so much. This is an absolute delight. These are fantastic. These are, and someone in the comments correct me if I'm wrong, but these were the first 2-player battle box or 2-player starter sets that Privateer Press produced for Warmachine. In Mk1, the first edition, everything was faction boxes. So this was around Mk2, we got to have 2-player starter boxes. Now the Hordes one is going to get its own video, so we'll put that to the side for now. The Warmachine one was opened previously. We think it was probably a return. But let's take a look at this for a second. First of all, why do I love out of print stuff so much? It's like a time capsule. Like this is a little look into how the miniatures, how the game was being produced, how things were being made, what thought processes were happening back in 2012 when this was put out. And one thing to point out when you're talking about a 2-player starter set is you want to have factions that represent the game, like really diametrically opposed factions. For this one, obviously, we can see from cover art, we have the Stinking Heathens, the Khadorans. We got Khador versus Menoth, which I think is a really interesting mashup, because the first rulebook for Warmachine, if I'm not mistaken, had this very iconic Khador versus Crix on the cover. But when they did the 2-player battle box, they decided to do Khador versus Menoth. And that art, we'll just take a moment to behold the art. If you don't know that much about the factions, this is a very wintry ice faction, and this is a very we're going to burn you all faction. So there's a bit of a stylistic difference there. Nice little slim down box. Caches there, we have Sorsha and Krios, 2 of the absolute legends of this game. Let's take a look here in the back. World Forged of Iron Tempered by War, we've got our 2 war casters are there. And it looks like we've got 2 Warjacks, and then a whole bunch of large infantry. So these are not our little guys. These are Man of War shock troopers with the big halberds and cannon shields. And these are Exemplar incinerators, which have these cool little, can't really see it that well. You got these shields and these cool little long swords there. Beautiful stuff. So that's everything that comes in, that should come in it. Let's just crack it open and see what we've got. Again, no shrink wrap on this one, so we're just going to dive straight in and see what we get. There we go. I can still feel their stuff in here, so we're just going to get everything going. All right. I love this part. Okay, so let's sort through it. Let's see what we got. First of all, the Mk2 rulebook, which funnily enough features Signar versus Menoth. Just everyone's beating up on us lately. It was your rulebook, beautiful color photos. Much like some of the Games Workshop stuff, I think it's funny because you can look at one photo and you can see kind of the level of detail in the terrain and the way things are painted, and you can almost date it just off this photo alone. It's really cool. Be interesting to go through here and see what some of the it is Khador. That's going to win me $5 in a bet. I'm not explaining that. That's cool. Little pronunciation guide. Be interesting to go through and see how some of the key rules have changed since Mk2, since we are now celebrating Mk4. Good neat little thing. This is a miniature no-quarter magazine. Khador versus Trolls, I assume, considering there's a giant troll there. Advertisement for no quarter, back when that was a thing. It's a cool little thing, little chat about the lore. Ooh, a tiny battle report. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so that's your Trolls versus Hordes vs. Khador from the front is actually this tiny battle report in here. Turn by turn. Little diagram there. This is cool. Little breakdown of everything. And spoiler, Khador wins. Somewhere Miranda is laughing and doesn't know why. Little bits on organized play, little trophies and stuff. Hobby guide. This is a lot of actually really good information in this tiny pamphlet here. Cool. P3 and some beautiful scenery. See, that's a cool photo right there. Scorn, Menoth. Cool stuff there. We got this is your introductory guide. It feels like a fold out. Yeah, it is a fold out. A lot of documentation in the little box. Hello. All right, if you were not previously welcome to Warmachine, welcome to Warmachine. In big letters. Kind of introduces you to lore, who's in the starter set. That's useful. So if you like one of the armies, now you know who they are. Some of the other losers who didn't manage to make it into the battle box. More hobby stuff. Ooh, assembly diagrams. It's got kind of a cool blueprinty look to it. Some templates you can cut out for play. And I'm going to draw some attention because the first thing that jumped out at me is the terrain in that picture. It's like a collapsed wall. That is cool looking. Just storming right through that thing. I would love to do something like this in a large scale at some point. One day. And then finally in the paperwork we have the quick start rules. This is just a real quick rundown. Basics of how the game's played. This again is a very simple fold out. Wow. See, I said simple fold out. Oh, that's interesting. That is interesting. So it includes cards, but not just for Menoth and Khador, but also for Signar and Crix. Just the basic, we got Denegra, the Warcaster, Sorsha and Krios, who were included in this box, and Commander Striker, back when he was just plain old Coleman Striker. Very cool. All right, quick start rules there. Of course, we have this. I'll be honest with you, I give these to my wife. She really enjoys them because she knits. She does knitting, crochet, and these work really well for measuring out things in our solid object. Otherwise, it's just kind of a plastic ruler. Pretty cool. Stack of 40 mil bases. I assume for one of the infantry. Plain old dice there. Black dice, white pips. We'll get to the models here in a second. Did we get everything out of the cardboard? Yes, we did. All right, let's get into the good stuff. Look at that. Magnificent. These are the incinerators. These are our incinerators. I'll try to do this so you can see inside of it. Actually, let's open them one up. Let's see if John can bleed on camera today. It hasn't happened yet, but the day is young. These, I have some of these I haven't painted yet. They're sitting around. So these are, it's molded plastic is what it feels like. There's definitely evidence of previous sprue. Come on. There's some very tiny bits. What is that? Oh, it's a head. Of course it's a head. All right. So that's one of these guys. That is the head. There's no way that's going to show up on camera. Tiny little head. But they're fairly simple and really straightforward models. We got the main body there. Nice wide skirt. It's really good if you have to pin this thing to a base, which I do often, because you can just drill right up anywhere in here. You don't have to aim for a foot. We got a shield. Very cool. I love the look of the Exemplar shields. Man, that's cool. We got shoulder pads for days. These are both inscribed with the minifix. They are appropriately massive. And that is the arm for the shield, I wager. Yes. And then the sword arm. This is what I was talking about with the swords being really cool. It's a little bit too. I don't know why. It's a cool look for a sword. It's got the engraving bits on there. It's a little forked in. I don't know what tactical purpose that would serve, but it looks wicked. So that is a incinerator. So those are Krios's backup. This is a whole bag of what looks like the shock troopers, because all I see are halberds. Halberds or glaives, or somebody else tell me what kind of polearm weapon those are. You knew X-Acto knives, not even cutting bags at this point. Once again, same gray molded plastic. You do get a little bit of a bend in some of these. And that's something that, I mean, if it's plastic, if it's resin, if it's 3D print, like this seems to be the curse of miniatures everywhere. You're always gonna have some sort of bend. Thankfully, the hot water trick seems to work on all three of those. So good news on that front. It is really crisp looking. Nice detail down the side there. The cool little brackets and rivets. It's really a big part of the whole steampunk aesthetic there. Beautiful weapons there. I'm not going to unpack all this because there's no way to keep them sorted that I can see. But let's find one of their shields. That's another shoulder pad. Shoulder pads are a thing. Big old Khador symbol there. Yes, it looks like a torso. Yep, there you go. Set this to the side. These guys, it's very much of the, I mean, aesthetic-wise, these are two really interesting units to put together. Because the shock troopers, they've got this big kind of like a, what's it, boiler. Yeah, they look almost like a walking boiler. They got the big round shape, the vents in the back. The incinerators have this very kind of old school, like plated look, almost like a samurai thing. They got the big plates hanging over the legs, shoulder pads. Just two very different aesthetics with about the same kind of mass. It's a cool way to do it. Going to here, this is undoubtedly Warjack material. I see Khador Warjack stuff in here. Come on. How do I know it's Khador Warjack? Because of the very distinctive, massive body with the 6 smokestacks there on top. And that again, very crisp detail, lots of rivets everywhere, a little bit of flashing there. That'll be pretty easy to clean up. As quality goes, it's actually pretty good quality plastic for what it is, admittedly. It's certainly not the, certainly not resin or 3D print these days. Plenty of stuff there. It looks like there's 2 bodies. Have no idea how I'll outfit them. I don't even know actually how many options there are in this bag. Let's find out. Let me make sure I'm doing this on camera. It's no fun if it's just me. There we go. Come on. Ha-ha. Yeah, my knife is rolling away. Okay. So yeah, we got a couple bodies. We got legs. Bases, the other half of the body. These are heads, I think. Definitely heads. It's only 2 heads. It's there. We got Khador fists, looks like. Weapons. Let's break this out a little bit. So we got axes. We got an axe. So I can already tell we've got options because there's just too many things here. Looks like we got some open fists. They used to be a big deal back in the day, I'm told. It was before my time. Looks like we got a cannon. We got a couple of axes. At least one. Looks like 2 open hands. So these are going to be shoulders right here. And I'm at a loss for what these are. Somewhere a Khador player screaming out, okay, here we go. I was going to get an angry call from Miranda here in a second. Okay, so there we go. So that goes with that. So we got an axe, got another axe, open fist, and a cannon. And presumably on the box, which I already tossed to the side, it would tell us which ones go with which. I don't know the names of them. I'm sorry, guys. There's a lot of names of Warjack. So there's enough pieces for 2 heavy Warjack builds, and then all these shock troops, which is good. So let's find Sorsha before we call it a day on this one. Find Sorsha. Sorsha, it looks like, is roommates with Krios in this packet. And this is where you got to be careful, because the Warcasters are where the really, really tiny bits start to come into play. Like this head. All right, so here is our boy Krios. Back before he was the Krios, he was just kind of Krios. See, that's a spiky ball that goes at the end of his spiky ball stick. That is the actual name of the weapon. Again, slight bend there. That's going to be some hot water treatment to straighten that out. But he's pretty simple. He gets this, and then the spiky ball goes on the end. And then he should have a backpack thing. It looks just like this. So there we go on that. Just a great little model. And he was also the Warcaster in the Mk2 battle box from Menoth. That's where I first ran across him. Just a nifty dude. Sorsha is here. Sorsha with her fuzzy hat, because, of course, she's Khador. Fuzzy hats are mandatory, or they kill you. Let's see here. Her hammer really got the worst of that one on the molding there. So that would be, once again, easy fix. If you haven't done this before, just heat up like a coffee cup of water in the microwave, not to boiling, because that's too much, just until it's like hot, until you pick up the cup and it's uncomfortable. And then in this case, the bend starts here, so we would just dip that in the hot water. And oftentimes you'll actually watch it. It'll start to straighten out by itself. But if it doesn't, leave it there for about, 10, 12 seconds. Pull it out, immediately just draw your fingers down to straighten it, and then hold it there. You can blow on it, you can run it under some cool water to solidify it. Problem solved. But her pose, if I'm not mistaken, she's got this thing held out back. I've not seen a recent picture of Sorsha. She's holding the hammer out to her side there. And then she's doing the pointy hands. Good old pointy hands maneuver. Some sort of gesture there. I'm not entirely sure what these are. Oh, these are Krios's ridiculous biceps. Sun's out, guns out. And then this is Sorsha's backpack. So again, two fairly small-sized Warcasters, probably a good choice financially and all that. It's two small-sized Warcasters, some big beefy jacks, and then a bunch of really big infantry. So our last stop on this tour, it's going to be the Menoth Jacks. And if you're thinking, John's a Menoth player, he definitely knows what the Menoth Warjacks are called. Well, you are definitely mistaken. Put you guys over here. I'm going to clean this up once the camera's off, just so I don't lose all these pieces. I'm sure some of you guys are worried. There you go. All rules and stat cards available at the War Room 2 app. Very, very high quality, kind of jankily cut out there. But if you got to get the message across, it does get the message across. So this is, I'm going to make a guess here. I think this is the Templar. And I say that because he likewise has a really big beefy body, but he's got this really awesome looking flail that is connected to his knuckles. And I gotta be honest, this is probably the least efficient way I can think of to swing a flail, and the most awesome. Is to just have it on like spiked knuckles and then just be flailing your arm around. Like there's no way you're controlling anything about this, which is the point. And we got a big old cannon for the other arm. Pretty sure that's a Templar. Probably have that wrong. Probably a heretic now. What are you gonna do? Last but not least. This is, okay, I recognize this thing. Spiky guy, because that used to be in the Menoth battle box. I cannot remember his name, because this guy's got an open fist. There you go. That's closed fist there, but in the rules, he had an open fist. A little bit of sprue still stuck there. Get rid of that. So he's got the one balled up fist. This one spiky thing, why can't I remember what it was called? The new set has the Castigator in it, so he's not the Castigator. I don't know. I'm failing on my knowledge of Warjacks. Where's his head? There's his head. Yeah, once again, just giant, beefy Warjack bodies. This is arguably one of the best things about Warmachine is the stuff doesn't look elegant, and it's not supposed to. It looks brutal. It looks like a war machine. And I love that. All right, so there we go. That is the contents of the battle box, 2-player starter set. I'm gonna lose a bunch of stuff if I try to get too far with this. Oh, what is this here? Oh, a light Warjack. I spoke too soon. This is the flamethrower and swingy flail. Repenter, I think. The Menoth, the projected Menoth has a ton of light Warjacks that all start with the letter R. It's like a nightmare on Sesame Street. So the Repenter, the Revenger, oop, drop stuff. So I'm pretty sure it's one of those. It's like the Repenter Revenger. And by comparison, look at the size of the body there. That's just absurd. You could mount that body like as a gun and it would fit. It would look weird, but you get my point. Big disproportionate there. Yep, he's got a tiny swingy flail compared to the massive swingy flail. And he's got his flamethrower here somewhere. I saw it. There it is. Little flamethrower guy. Yeah, it's fun ones. Okay, so that's the show. That was what you got back to the start of Mark II. This was the 2-player starter set. We got rulers. We got a bunch of, I mean, this is a lot of models. We got some cool literature, introduction guides, all that. Rulebook, bases, dice. I realize I'm covering everything up and I don't care. This has been the 2-player battle box for the steam-powered miniatures game, Mark II of Warmachine. Again, I'm pretty sure 2011, 2012, circa around that time frame. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, thank you so much, Bob Watts, for sending this in. Stay tuned, and we'll do this again for the Hordes battle box on the next video. Thanks for watching.